Turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We have with us Jackie Catrabone from Strategy Solutions, who is the firm that we hired to help us navigate through the options for Horace Mann. She has a few things to go through tonight, a suggestion, and I'll just turn it over to Jackie so she can tell us what they're thinking.
Awesome. So as you recall, when we met with you last week, we talked about the very first thing we would like to do would be an open house. So we connected with Rob and Jared and felt that April 2nd, I know we were kind of trying to target the end of March, but just logistically being able to get the message out, knowing that we needed to have the building empty, no students there while the open house was happening. And then just given the holiday and potential travel logistics, April 2nd felt like the most appropriate date to be able to get folks there. So we're recommending that we hold the open house Tuesday, April 2nd from 3 to 7 at Horace Mann, if this committee is good with that.
So April 2nd is a day where there's no children in the district. It's the Tuesday after Easter, and it's on our schedule as a snow day that we have not used. That's why we chose this day. We also have an extra snow day on the 28th that, God forbid, next week we get a snowstorm. We still have a buffer date that we can use a snow day before we get to that snow day. So it makes sense because then we can be in there, set up everything we need to set up. We're not going to disrupt anything. We can actually open the open house before business hours close. So if a local business wants to come over and they want to give up their evening, they can have access to the building. So it makes a lot of sense. Logistically, it also is in line with our timeline. If we push it back any further, now we're pushing back the decision day a little bit. So although it seems a little aggressive, it's 2 weeks away. It's still, I think, all the time we would need to advertise it and turn it around. So
Yeah, because realistically, that gives us 2 full weeks. If you sign off on it, today, we'll make tweaks to the flyer based on your input, and we'll be ready to go. So as long as you're all good with April 2nd.
I'm fine with the day.
It sounds like, to me, it sounds like a solid day, because I couldn't imagine, I think you're going to get lots of different people. So obviously, if you have kids, right? I mean, you may have your kids at home, but you can still come after work,
Right.
Hopefully the significant other gets home. Sounds like it'll work.
yeah, I mean, otherwise we'd have to wait till the evening to even get in there because the students will be in there, the teachers will be in there. So, yeah, I think it seemed to be the most logical day when we talked earlier. So,
And you're looking at people are coming to look at the building and not necessarily to the academic programming, how it's unfolding with the kids and the teachers and that sort of thing. It's more about the building.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so this lets people come, during business hours if it's their job and that makes sense. And otherwise, it reaches people after hours too. So that time frame will kind of hopefully capture all audiences.
yep, it seems to check all the boxes. So if the committee's okay with that, we can launch this tomorrow. We'll put it out on our website, social media outlets. We talked about getting it in the paper, getting it on the radio, getting it, out in any way, shape, or form we can think of. Jackie and her team will actually talk about getting it announced in a larger scope. Indiana County, Indiana proper, we can handle pretty well. We can pretty much blanket that. But what about Pittsburgh? What about people that might be interested from Greensburg or whatever it might be? So Strategy Solutions will be able to help us with that.
So you guys will take care of that.
Yep. One of the things we'll talk about once we wrap up the open house will be the strategy to do marketing and all of that. So yeah.
So a question, Jackie, on the open house. Is this just going to be little meet and greet at the front door and then the people can wander through the building? Or are we giving guided tours? Are we giving a little presentation? And then, so what do you envision the word open house could be interpreted a couple of different ways. And so what is your vision of what you're going to actually do at the open house?
Yeah, so I think given the fact that it's meant to be open and fluid, I think it'll be hard to do a structured presentation because unless we do it, every 15 minutes or that will be hard. That will be hard to control. So I think we could certainly have some flyers maybe that have some additional information. the building, we'll want to make sure everybody who shows up signs up so that we've got their contact information and we're talking to them if they're interested so that we can do some follow-up with them. And I think unless you feel strongly about having someone walk with people, I think it really is just an open house where people can
What-
kind of come and go and check out the space, except unless from a facility control perspective, you feel, there's a need to have people.
One of the things I thought about was whether or not, and this would be fall more to Rob, whether we would want like one or two of the staff members at each floor, so that as the people are walking around, they'll say, well, what's this? Or
Sure.
why is this door,
Answer some questions.
somebody that could answer some questions without having them to go all the way through the building without anybody there to maybe, and I'm just spitballing it.
Mhm.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
guys say no, I'm okay, but,
No, we plan to be there entirely, and I think that's a good idea.
Well, and I think like maybe have a couple representative classrooms unlocked, and maybe do we have the ability to lock the other ones? Because it is a functioning school, at this
Right.
point, and there's personal effects, there's
Right.
computers, there's, so if community members and everything, we're not gonna have eyes on them all the time, have a couple rooms, exemplar rooms that, they can go through and.
And we definitely plan on having Cheney and Dave there to, unlock areas of the school that may not normally be open, to answer those questions of, hey, how's the boiler system work? How does, different parts of the mechanical side of the building function? So
And Jim, that's not a bad idea, having someone like by the floor where instead of, to your point, having everything open, because you can't keep an eyeball, but if you have two, you have almost like a chaperone kind of watching them, kind of showing them into a room or two. Is it to get the picture and layout?
Yeah, I think it'd be easy to say, between our staff and Cheney and Dave, we could have someone on each floor with
Yeah.
those areas open, no problem.
I mean, the only other option I could see would be do small group tours, like, if you got people coming at all times, that doesn't really work.
No.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's,
And I think people are gonna be interested in different things, like
Right.
one person that's talking about buying is gonna wanna know about the bones and
Yeah.
the guts, and the person that wants to partner academically wants to look at the space, so
right.
I think it's probably better to have it a little more free flowing.
yeah, well, Cheney and Dave, two custodians, Rob, myself, Justin, maybe. I mean, there'll be,
It's enough, yeah.
shouldn't Aaron maybe
Aaron
be
could-
there?
if she's available, might be there.
You know,
Mondays aren't enough, Walter, huh?
yeah, this is Tuesday, okay.
Just kidding,
You
of
can
course
take-
I'd be there.
We'll give you the we'll give you April Fool's off, okay?
And you can flex your hours that day too, that's what they do with our kids, so.
No, I'd be happy to be there, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, I think that's a good plan, and if you can
Yes,
have some
and
people
we'll
there
be
to.
there to be, to be able to, like I said, we're gonna wanna interact with people and make sure that we've got contact information and try to get a sense for the people who are there, who are genuinely interested in what are they interested in it for, so we can do a
Jackie.
more detailed follow-up.
Jackie, this is Rodney Green.
Green.
I just want to add in that I think even though it's an open house, the idea of having like a one pager, like a little bit of a history of the building or the historical use of the building, along with, you could probably have a rough, what I call a rough overview of the mechanicals of the building, like the heating, the system, electrical, just a couple statistics on there. The other thing is, I would recommend that even though it's an open house, that we have a sign in, a login, so to speak, that people sign in, leave their contact information on there. I'm not saying we have to ask for their ID. I don't want to go overboard and offend any local citizens, but I do think we need to have a sign in, especially for those people who want to follow up with a contact with more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if there's no objection, we'll start working on the one pager and the logistics. And then I guess approving this would be the next step.
So we had created two kind of mock-up flyers that we could use to kind of mass distribute. We are going, right now, they currently don't have any information about the building itself. So we are going to update this to include just some basic specs about, the year that it was built, square footage. We're gonna pull information from the public presentation. So this will ultimately get updated before it's distributed. But does anybody feel strongly one way or the other about the look and feel and the layout of sort of a predominantly gray versus the white and red? I know they're not numbered, but
I like the white and red.
I like the white as well.
The white and red.
I think
The
it
white and
stands
red.
out.
I concur.
that was the one. Yeah, I think that was the one most of us preferred. But since we had options, we wanted to give options. So we'll maintain this look and feel, knowing that it's going to adjust slightly now that we're going to add some additional information to it. But we'll make that change and then get this distributed, and then
Jackie, if I could ask for one thing on the bullet points. And that number one that says businesses, groups, individuals interested, if we can add like businesses, agencies, groups that are interested in using the space for their own use or partnering with the district, something like that, I think, because there's gonna be people out there that, you know, don't necessarily want to purchase the building, but might be interested in the.
Well, even just from PR point of view, you know, if somebody looks at this, they're like, well, the school's not even thinking about keeping it. They want to get rid of it. They want to
yeah,
sell.
absolutely,
it.
right, yeah, the messaging.
And it's definitely an option. Like we want to explore all options.
Not so much on the flyer, but to spin off of something Rod said, as far as the, you know, kind of some of the history or the historical use. If I'm looking at it from a developer's perspective, the fact that it has an HVAC system that was put in 2016, you know, the age of the roof, the age of the HVAC, the ESCO project where we upgraded the lighting, and the list of those things.
The disclosure page when you buy a house, I guess what you're talking about.
Kind of like that, but if I'm a lot more interested in the building if I know it's got a new roof on it and the HVAC system was upgraded and it's got new lighting in it and so on like that, because that's just one less thing that I have to, you know, worry about if I'm going to buy the building for some purpose.
What are you asking, Walter, for that to be,
Not on the flyer.
so a
But-
I
handout?
think it's a takeaway for people
Okay.
who physically
Yeah.
show up there.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody that shows up, in addition to the fact that it was built in 1908, you know, oh, by the way, it had these upgrades to its infrastructure through an ESCO project in 2016, I think it was, or 2015, whatever.
12, 13.
Well, okay.
Let's go.
Okay, but I just think we need to show a little bit of detail on that, that's all.
Absolutely.
Walter, I would add to that you, just as a basic informational item, you want to describe the size of the plot or the lot that the building is on. And you also, I would say you would also want to put on there what the current zoning is and maybe a link to the borough's zoning page.
Okay,
That way they're not, again, we're not guessing. When you talk about having potential partners and things like that, you at least they know what it's currently zoned in that area, what the current uses are, and if someone's interested in other things, they might have to do a variance or some type of zoning, but at least you have on there what it is.
right.
And the borough provided us with that, Jackie, so we can get that to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll work on that. We'll work on the flyer. And then the last piece that you all have is the list of current outreach strategies. So these are either kind of clusters of types of groups that we're looking at, or those who are already potential partners, or some who have expressed interest in the building. So in addition to this list, our team is currently pooling like all, you know, the different realtors, property managers, housing developments, and getting contact information. And we're looking at Indiana, Armstrong, Clearfield, Cambria, Somerset, and Westmoreland. So all of the counties that kind of are contiguous and surround Indiana County. So we'll use that as our kind of mass distribution to get folks the revised flyer. So like I said, in addition to what shows up here, we've got growing lists of the realtors, the property managers, all of those folks on there. So we just wanted to give you a chance today to comment if there's any groups you can think of that may be interested in the building, or you know who have expressed interest in it, or are we missing any big group kind of category?
Family Promise.
I know that the library is not interested. I was there earlier.
Oh, okay.
So they're not interested.
Where is your powers of persuasion?
Yeah, but I just straight up asked because I heard you guys mention the library last week.
Mhm.
And so I asked the director, I said, I heard that you were interested. She said, no, we're not. I said, tell me more. So she explained that they simply can't even afford it, even,
Oh.
and things of that nature and other underlying things that are going on with the library.
Yeah, they've got a lot of transition.
Right, exactly. So they're off the list.
We'll cross them off.
Okay.
Let me think of other. Family Promise is a good one.
Even CYS, I don't know if they,
Where are they at right now?
Where's their
I forgot.
CYS is out by the drive-in movie theater across
That's
from that.
okay.
But I don't know if they would have a use for, because they currently, if they don't have housing, they end up sending them Johnstown way, I think,
Mhm.
So they don't have anything super local residential wise for
Mm.
foster children.
Right.
I wonder if Evergreen would be interested as well. We have the Evergreen Boys After
Mhm.
School Club.
Probably.
They do a lot of educational programming. Another person that I just had a small sidebar with at one point was the Underground Railroad Museum from Blairsville.
Mhm.
Just was spitballing an idea, and they're like, "Well, imagine if we could turn that into a museum. It'd be a great museum." Yeah, it could be.
You probably could look at a lot of the nonprofits in town that think, I know at one point the YMCA was looking for different space for some of the different programs that they have for kids. I think they were looking at like a gaming, like a house to turn it into like a gaming center for like the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if maybe it's even interested in renting some of the space.
It's good.
Yeah, you're right. Any of the nonprofits, who knows what their expansion plans or needs are. So absolutely.
Rob, I think you mentioned ICTC.
Mhm.
They're on there.
They're on here.
Yeah, they're right at the top of the list. I
St. Bernard's.
don't know if they'll be interested or not now that they moved. Didn't they move?
No,
No.
Seeds of Faith didn't.
Oh, Seeds of Faith moved. That's right. So St. Bernard.
the last I heard was they were trying to expand their early childhood program, their preschool, and they don't have the room where they are right now to do that. Just spitballing it again, they may not be interested in the whole building, but they might be interested in a room or two of it, depending on who else would, or how else the rest of it would. But I don't want to speak for them. That's something you'd really have to ask.
Right. And what was the organization?
St. Bernard's.
Catholic School. I don't know if they'd be interested in a high school. Right now, they're what, pre-K through 6?
No, eight
Eight.
through 8th grade.
It's probably not a bad idea to reach out to, like you said, like Seeds of Faith and some of those other schools as well, just to see if they're busting at the seams and need more space.
Okay.
Even if they're not interested in purchasing it, might be a potential lessee.
Partnership.
Mhm.
Okay. Get some of the schools. Any other thoughts that we're missing?
What's the one in Dixonville? Or are they headquartered there?
Calvary Baptist is north
thank
of
you.
Clymer.
Yeah, Dixonville.
No, they're not towards Dixonville. They're 286, about 2-3 miles north of Clymer
Yeah.
itself.
Well, there's one in
Commodore.
Dixonville too.
There is one in Dixonville. Can't think what it's called.
Is it a Mennonite?
It's not Mennonite.
And then just so you all know, since you have this list here, and this Pivotal Housing Partners in PA actually reached out to us once they saw the newspaper article indicating that we were going to be doing this project. So
Who was it?
it's Pivotal Housing Partners in PA. They're interested in the space for senior housing. They've been converting a lot of old schools in other communities into senior housing. So they actively reached out to express interest.
Where are they based out of?
What did they say?
The Wesleyan School.
Yes.
So
Indiana.
I'm not sure
Wesleyan.
where they're at, but they've recently developed in Cannonsburg, Mount Union, Huntingdon County, and then they're working on finishing a school conversion called Morning Sun Senior in East Vandergrift, which is in Westmoreland County. So they've got property or they've done them in Washington County, Huntingdon County, and Westmoreland County most recently. So they do affordable housing for seniors age 62 and plus. 62 over is their sort of target.
So this isn't exactly related here, Jackie, but since they've reached out and a couple of other people have reached out, the thought did occur to me that there might be 2, maybe 3 serious,
Competing interest.
yes, competing interests, whether they're commercial, senior housing, education, whatever. And I know this wasn't specifically addressed in your proposal, but if their interest really is this strong, how will we kind of sort that out?
Well, I mean, part of what we'll ultimately do is come up with different criteria to look at the different options. So I think part of it will be weighing what do you ultimately want to do with the space? But then, I mean, I think if you decide that you want to sell it, then it comes down to the, board and the committees to really evaluate those proposals.
Okay.
But we'll sort of walk through the process of at least evaluating the different large scale options that are out there.
Okay.
So just a thought, like I'm sorry to go back to additional names.
Mhm.
I would add like the different churches like around town. And I'm thinking of people like Mel Massingle up at like Summit Church, and they talk to a lot of people.
Okay,
So the thought is, obviously, even if they don't know, as they talk to people.
they can help network, to
Right.
get the word out or know
Right.
someone.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're pretty influential, some of the folks.
And I do want to be mindful, it's 5:31 and I know you had something.
I just want to give a quick
Else?
update on, if we can change gears here a little bit, our social media communications initiative we started last time has been relatively successful, I would say. We've gotten a lot of questions specifically on the Facebook side. So our problem with our plan is that our tool through our web page will put the web page up and it will blast it to Twitter and Facebook. But the way that Twitter operates and the way Facebook operates are slightly different. So the Twitter post that goes up, you click on the little button that we have there and it works, right? It goes right to the page and you can view the video and look at the minutes, whatever. The Facebook post does not work like that. And it's a Facebook problem, it's not an us problem. So we attach a link at the top. When you click the link, it takes you to a picture that then works. But the original picture doesn't work. So it's confusing. So we get a lot of people that are saying, I click on the link and I just get the same picture, right? So we tried to explain it one time, but it doesn't, it's confusing. Even for people who are experienced social media users, it's a little confusing. So what we're thinking about doing is doing the Twitter post as is and then just sending a link on the other one that just takes you to the YouTube. And the link might just say, click here to see what happened at Buildings and Grounds last night. And if they click, it goes straight to the page rather than the pretty picture that will pull people in. If everybody's okay with that, we're going to try that instead, just to try to cut down.
It's annoying you got to do two separate things, but if that's the only way it works, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard the same complaint, so it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not us, it's them, but it's still us because,
right.
you know, we're trying to do a better job of communicating, we're just frustrating people, so.
Mhm.
So I think with your permission, we're gonna try that this time, we're gonna do tomorrow morning when we meet, we'll make the Twitter post, and then we'll make a Facebook link. And we'll do the same thing, it just won't be as pretty on Facebook, but it'll work this time. So, all right,
Sounds good.
okay. That's all I have, sir, if that's,
Thank you, everybody.
all right. Thank you, Jack, appreciate it. And then, when will we be ready to launch?